ago. And it is no fault of anybody but men that we find ourselves almost a disappearing species in certain areas of our lives, and particularly the church. One book that I've decided that when I'm finished with UTC and JBU off my back, because as a probationary minister, they have me on the wraps. When I'm able to come out of that, there's a book that I intend to read, and the title is Impotent Church. Yes. Now, can you imagine? I'm intrigued as to what the book is suggesting. Impotent Church. The title alone just had my mind running wild. Could it be suggesting that the feminization of Christianity has made the church impotent? Or could it be that when men fail to stand up to their God-given responsibility, there's a systematic breakdown, not just in society, but in the church as well? I'm not sure which side of the divide the book comes down on, but we don't have to look far or read a book to come to the realization that there is an issue in our society, and particularly in our church, where men and masculinity and the role of the male figure in God's plan, God's divine salvific plan, is concerned. We have trouble in the house. Literally, there is shame and scandal in the family. And so I applaud men who have organized this conference for us to spend some time to see how we can partner together to ensure that each one can win one, that we'll be able to witness, invite, and nurture the next generation of men into the kingdom of God. Sisters and brothers, if you have your Bibles with you, I invite you to turn with me to the wisdom literature, the book of Proverbs. And I want to share with us one verse. For when I got the invitation, it was made clear that this address should be practical. And so I'm going to try and get the speaking part out of the way as quickly as possible. Share a few thoughts, and then invite us then now to wrestle with some issues that I think are pertinent for us today. So, Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 17. Proverbs 27 verse 17. I'll read it for us from the English Standard Version. Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another. Let me share it again. Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another. Let us pray. Gracious Lord, we invite your presence now to fill this place afresh. Lord, as we are about to touch these matters concerning your work and your word, hide me behind the cross so that I may be a channel through which you will now speak. Illumine your word, Lord, so that your people will draw life from it. Speak now, Lord, for our hearts are ready. Speak, Lord. Our minds are steady. Speak, Lord, and make us blessed in you. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, we pray. Amen. Welcome, and goodness. Thank you. Brother Brown, I'm going to invite you to take the seat down there and make this little space. The text before us, Proverbs, represents one of those books in the Bible that we are very comfortable with. Proverbs, part of what is described as a wisdom literature, holds key information that we can draw on any time to fit almost any issue or situation we may face. While the passages in a particular chapter may not all be related to the same subject, but what we know is that if you are careful enough to search the Proverbs, you will find value in them. This particular proverb, chapter 27, as we know, most are attributed to Solomon, the wisest man on earth, shares some issues. First, the few verses before raises concern about women and their role. I must confess, when I saw the women here, I said, Lord, I don't want them to read verse 14, 15, and 16 come down, because it's not very flattering to women. And so I am steering away from those controversial portions of the text. But I want us to kind of zero in on what verse 17 says, suggesting that iron sharpens iron, and that one man will sharpen another man. Let me see if I can get your attention here for a moment. I have here some very familiar household tools and items. This one, we know very well. Some machete. This one clearly is being used for something. There's evidence of work on it. But I don't think it's a farmer owns it. Because a farmer normally clean it when he's finished. I don't know. Is yours right? No. Okay. I want that. Here we have another tool. It's a file. We stick with these two first. Both the file and the machete are made of a similar material. In this case, it could be steel, but we just call everything iron for ease of understanding. So this piece of iron, we are told, can be sharpened by this piece of iron. And we all know how machete and file work. That there is a certain section of the machete that has an edge that the file is moved over in a particular action that with consistency sharpens that edge. There's another edge to the machete, the dull edge that is never sharpened, or usually is not sharpened unless it's a double-edged blade, which normally is not the case for this particular tool. There is also the perforated edges of the file. It is not the same as the machete. It has some grooves in it that allows it to pick up friction when rubbed against the machete.
Yes.
And so slowly and again with consistency will change the nature of the machete. It will make it sharper, brighter, and it will shine and change its nature. I want to guide our brief reflection with this as our props. This will become the motif from which the lessons will be raised. So, sisters and brothers, we understand the nature of the relationship between the machete and the file. And I want us to use that understanding now to understand what God is saying to us through the Proverbs, chapter 27 and verse 17. That each one will win one. The feeling, each one winning one is an acronym, as Brother Daly pointed out, that we can draw from three main ideas, which I'll be sharing on. Witness. W, witness. How will each one win one? First and foremost, through witnessing. How will each one win one? Second, through inviting. And how will each one win one? Third, nurturing. Let me make that personal. How can the men, and of course the women, here at Grace Baptist Church, Bay Bend, win one? Witnessing, inviting, and nurturing. These are the pillars that I'm going to lay the foundation on. These call them cornerstones now, that we're going to build up this ministry on. Witnessing, inviting, nurturing. And as I wrestled with this, I remember ringing in my head, Rev said it has to be practical. The letter said it must be practical. So I won't be speaking much. I'll try not to. So I'm not going to tell you what witnessing is. I'm not going to spend time defining these concepts. It's a long time we in church, we must know by now. But I want to focus not on the what, not the why, but so much more on the how. And I'm going to allow us then to interact with these over time. So how is it that we are called to win? How is it are we called first to witness? I'm submitting to us three ways that we are called to witness. One, we witness, we win one through witnessing by direct interaction. The text says that iron sharpeneth iron. How is it that this piece of iron becomes sharpened by this piece of iron if this piece of iron is on this side of the church and this piece is on the other side of the church? Am I getting it? How is it that iron will be sharpened by iron if this portion of the iron lives in, what's the community over there called? Lives in Buxton. Mount Erie. And this one lives in Buxton. Somehow, they can't stay separated from each other and accomplish the task of sharpening each other. I want to get to the picture. Yes. So follow me a little bit closely. I'm suggesting to us first that in witnessing, for the winning to happen, for the witnessing to happen, there must be direct interaction between the pieces of metal. Yes. Apply that to us. Yes. How is it that we are going to get to the men in our church, get to the men in our homes, get to the men in our society? It does not happen by osmosis, nor does it happen automatically. There must be a deliberate and intentional attempt for these individuals to be drawn together. And notice, please notice that there is a particular action that is anticipated and expected when they come together. Because nearness is not enough, you know. If they are just put together like this, the sharpening is not taking place. If you tie them up together in a marriage, the sharpening is still not taking place. If you force them to sit in the same brotherhood meeting together, sharpening is not taking place. There must be what I call now a special kind of interaction, a kind of touching. Yes. There must be an intimacy that happens between the metals for the desired result to be achieved. Part of the challenge challenge with us as church today is that we practice our Christianity like we are Mr. Bean. You know, no, it's not Mr. Bean, monk, who has an obsessive compulsive disorder where he has to fix things. He has to make it look like what he wants. And then he can't touch anything that looks less than he is. That might have a little germs in it. So we are so self-conscious that we have lost the common touch. We have become so caught up in our own business that it has become difficult for us to have real, true, genuine interaction with the very people that God has called us to witness to. It is a hands-on process. Look at Jesus' example. I often share with my congregation, Jesus never needed the 12 or the 120, whichever number you prefer, to find his way to the cross. In fact, at every step of the journey, they put obstacles in his way and tried to turn him away, tried to hinder him from fulfilling his mission. But yet, he personally sought after them and drew them in close to him so that he could nurture them into discipleship. He could make witnesses of them when he would have gone on to glory. I am saying, sisters and brothers, that for witnessing to take place, we must have direct interaction. They must be touching. They must be touching. So here's the question. Which life have you touched recently? Ponder it. Not only does witnessing require direct interaction, but the text suggests also that witnessing requires a dynamic intervention. I showed it earlier that it's not enough for the file and the machete to partner like this. There must be a dynamism in the relationship. In this particular relationship, there is a particular action that must take place. The file itself must be held at a particular angle and moved over a particular surface of the machete with a consistent action so that the desired result may be produced. There must be dynamic intervention. In other words, what the file is doing is finding the rough, the dead, the dull edges on the machete. Yes. And it's now training it with each stroke to look more and more into the likeness of what it wanted it to look like. I am saying, sisters and brothers, for witnessing to take place, there must be a deliberate, dynamic training of the substance or the object of the witnessing. To identify the man or the person that the Lord has led you to. And it's not enough to give them a change every now and then. It's not enough to, when they come with a problem, just say a prayer for them. Yes, you are touching their lives. Yes, you're making a meaningful contribution. Yes, you are taking their children to Sunday school. But you have to become a little bit more dynamic in your witnessing. You have to go hit a little harder. You have to allow, for example, your edges that are jagged to meet them at that right place to rub off some of their rough edges. It can't always be smooth sailing every day. At some point in time, that young man that keep coming to you for money, you have to tell him, say that he is a sinner. And he needs Jesus. Let me say that again. Dynamic intervention means that you must be able to recognize and identify in that person that God has led into your life the area of weakness. And you must directly approach that. In doing so, you might mash their car. They might not even like it. But that will result, sisters and brothers, in a tearing away over time of those areas that God does not want there. Dynamic intervention is training. So we need direct interaction, dynamic intervention, that is a touch and training. And for witnessing to take place, there must be devoted interest. Let me explain what I mean by that. The text says, iron can sharpen iron. But we already established that if the iron don't come in contact with each other through touch, and that if one member of the iron batch is not willing to address those areas of the other that needs to be removed and systematically go about removing what doesn't belong there, there will be no growth. But I am suggesting that if the file feel that is a waste of time to spend on this machete, then the file will not give it its best. If the file feels that this piece too rotten to come back, and say, boy, it's going to take too much of me, and before I bring it to sharpness, I might wear out my edges. So you know what, I'm not wasting my time anymore with him. Then no growth will take place. But if the machete is rusty, and has been under the earth for decades, and somehow the file becomes devoted to the task, truly, deeply interested in the transformation of this rotten piece of metal, this rusting piece of metal, this piece of garbage that everybody has thrown away, has given up on. Somebody would never use this for their honor and their glory because it has no more purpose. It has long outlived its value. But if the file commits itself, is devoted, is interested in just working on that rough edge, it might take a year, it might take a decade, but as long as it continues every day, that rough edge will start to change more and more into what you want it to look like. Over time, it will sparkle and it will be sharpened and able to do its function. I'm challenging us, sisters and brothers, that witnessing, we know the evangelism tool. I leave it to Rev to carry us through some techniques of evangelism. But I'm saying to us, for us to evangelize anyone, for us to witness to anyone, we must get involved in their lives. How do you get involved in the life of someone? Sometimes all people want is a listening ear. They come here with their problems. Stop and hear them. They may never get to the counseling at the church, but you are the closest person they have. You become their pastor, hear the problem, touch their lives. But then you have to now confront the sin in their lives. You have to train them in the way you want them to go. And also, you must treasure them. In other words, show a devoted interest in their transformation. Train them, touch them, train them, treasure them, interact with them, intervene in their lives, show interest in doing it. That is how you witness. Not just witnessing, we are called to win them, and witnessing is just the first step. So if you have been successful in sharing your faith, and like I said, I leave it to Rev now to give you the steps of how you actually share your faith. I'll tell you a quick story. In a particular circuit that I served, a deacon and I went out to witness. And the deacon clearly had some ulterior motives for going out with me that day. We were passing a number of people on the road, and he was carrying me to some specific people. These are the persons that he has been working on over time. And all the other persons that were there in need of grace, he just completely ignored. Because he had his special people that he wanted to witness to. But I noticed something while he spoke. He kept on telling them what God has done for him and how God blessed him and all the miracles that he experienced. And he never mentioned Jesus once. And so I wondered to myself, is which gospel he's preaching? I didn't say anything, but I waited until we returned to the church and I questioned him about it. And he said, well, it's important that you can tell people what God has done for you. But that can't save them. They need to hear about Jesus. So there is a content that should permeate witnessing encounters. But I'm saying to us, before you can even get to the content, you have to have this mindset that you have to come off your high horse and get into people's lives. That you must identify in people's lives those areas that God wants to move them from. Those bad habits. They could be your children. Speak out against sin. Could be a boss. But you must now also be committed to see value in their lives to change. That's witnessing. Inviting. How? What is the how of inviting? The text again suggests to us that each piece of iron has the ability in it to sharpen another piece of iron. And that each man can literally win or sharpen another man. So how do you do that? Having settled the concept of witnessing in your mind, we are called now to go a step further. We witness to how we live, how we walk, how we talk, what we say and do. They see that. And sometimes we are more direct in bringing the gospel to them. But at the end of the day, Scripture tells us that there is no other name under heaven given to men by which we must be saved. So therefore, we as disciples, as witnesses ourselves, are called to call people to know this man Jesus. At some point in time in your interaction, your intervention, and the interest that you're showing in this life, you must make a deliberate attempt to point them to Christ. So how do you do this? I suggest to us first, you must discover their potential. Discover their potential. If the fire does not see value in the machete, it makes no sense. And I want you to understand this. When the file has completed its work of sharpening this machete, I wish I had two machetes now. This one and one that has already been sharpened.
Sorry, I left mine.
To show you, sorry, you left yours. Next time. To show you the difference. Because the edge that is sharpened looks completely different from the rest of the metal. Because it has within it the potential to hurt or to heal, to help or to hinder. And if you are the one now that is doing the inviting, it is important that you help the invitee to recognize that their life has wrapped up in it significant potential. I remember teaching at Powers High School, and our principal, Mr. Derek Graham, came under significant amount of pressure from some older members of staff to expel a particular student. And Mr. Graham, the soft, kind-hearted man that he was, resisted the pressure. And you remember him saying to us as teachers in one staff meeting, he said, teachers, listen, when we kick this boy out of this school, where will he go? What will he do next? And when we deny him, well, he would have denied himself by his actions. But when we exclude him and then he has no alternative, he's the same one who becomes a criminal who kicks down our door later on in life. So he said, let us continue to try and push hard with this one, with the hope that we can make a breakthrough. The idea, sisters and brothers, is that that boy's life had potential. He was like 14 years old, but we could see that without the right guidance, he could become the most notorious murderer this country has ever seen. But some of us also saw in him the opportunity for complete transformation and reformation. And with a different kind of guidance, his life would become very productive in society. I had one such experience myself. You heard that I coached football at Costa Cup. There was a particular talented young man at Powers High School, and we have a well-developed community under 15 football program, probably maybe 40 years now in the making. And he was at that time one of the brightest stars coming out of that program. But yet he was never selected to play on his school's team. So members of the community kept on wondering, why is it that this young man is not on his school's team? Yet he's one of the brightest prospects in the community. And persons started to say, well, it's the coach that is biased and won't give him a chance. Persons even came to me and said, well, he's stifling the youth. Give him a bus. I recognized that there was an issue. For one, he never had the grades because he never went to class, so he could never play on a team I coach. Second, he never ever showed up for training, not even once. He recognized that without the grades, it didn't even make any sense try. And at the same time, his attitude was so poor that he would not even be allowed to represent the school anyways. I recognized that he couldn't approach me because he knew my standard. So what I went to him. I approached him, started talking to him. I said, how old are you? He said, I'm 16 years old. Family background, explaining his mother, his brother, his brother's girlfriend, and the extended family. I recognized that he was a troubled young man, and he was the last of about 10 children. So I said, so you haven't mentioned your father. Where is your dad? His father is dead. How long now have your father? Has your father been dead? 16 years. His father was missing his entire life. In that moment, I immediately recognized that he did not have a proper father figure and did not know how to adjust in society. All he learned was what his brother was doing to his girlfriend in the next room. And that's what he was raised on. He did not understand how to speak to female teachers. He was physically abusive to girl students. He was always in beef with some other boys. He didn't understand. And I challenged him. I said, do you love football? He said, yes, he loves to play. I said, you don't have the grades nor the behavior. I'm giving you 1 year to turn it around. So this is what the teachers are saying about it. This is your profile. And I read out his profile to him. I said, no, you have to fix every single item on your profile. Everything that you report says that you're bad in, turn it around. He loved football so much, he started that very day. And every day he would come to show me his improvement. And whenever he brought teachers' books to the staff room, he would then make sure he call out to me so that I see him carrying the books coming in. Because he wanted me to see that he's making the effort. He didn't realize, but all of a sudden he started getting good grades. All of a sudden he started getting good commendations. Before long, we were shocked to hear that he was recommended for about 4 CXC subjects. Shocked! And by the end of the year, not only did he make his grade, but he was saying to me if he could, if I think he could get prefect. I said, you've gone too far now. You've gone too far. But I am saying, wrapped up in his little life was the potential for good and also for evil. When the fire has finished its work with this machine, you can use this, clean this yard, make it look so pretty, or murder every single one of us in here. When iron is sharpening iron, that which is sharpened has the potential to go one way or the other way. And so it's important, sisters and brothers, that when you intervene in someone's life, you become deliberate about what your motive is. The truth is, in theological circles, we say we do our social outreach, not necessarily for evangelism. I hope that this church don't look at how much people get baptized out of the soup kitchen, or how much people we become members of the church out of our assistance program to the community. No, everybody is made in the image of God, and if God has blessed us, we should then in turn become a blessing. We don't give to get, we get to give. So we should work not to see a spiritual return, but as what Jesus did. Everywhere he went, he healed the sick, he raised the dead, he fed the hungry, he cleansed the lepers, and they crucified him. So we don't do it for what we can get, but the church has to become intentional. We must so organize our ministries and our activities so that we can impact the society around us. And we must recognize without apology that we are the church of Jesus Christ. So all if we don't say Jesus loves you, we know that it is because of the love of Christ why we do these ministries in the communities that surround our churches. But I want us to recognize that in inviting people, we must help them to discover their potential. For we might sharpen up a weapon to become a destructive force in our society because it has potential. So we must help those that we're inviting to discover their potential. In addition, we must help them to discern their purpose. It's different. Because potential means that it could go one way or another way. But I want us to be more deliberate. I keep using the word intentional. Purpose is different from potential. Potential